Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a deep dive into the riveting tale of a young man with a billionaire dad, a kid who's been on an extraordinary ride through Formula One, Lance Stroll. This story is not just about his racing journey, but the unique challenges and circumstances that make his career unlike any other in Formula One. So hold on to your helmets, because the 2023 Formula One season has seen the astonishing roller coaster of Aston Martin's performance. They started the year like a bat out of hell, surprising everyone by outperforming Mercedes and Ferrari. To be frank, if you predicted this, you're either a prophet or simply telling tall tales. But it was impressive. Both Lance Stroll and his teammate, the legendary Fernando Alonse, had the racing world scratching their heads. Initially, it looked like the team had found a newfound vigor. Alonso seemed to have his groove back, showing the world he was far from being yesterday's news. The team, thanks to these performances, was on an upward trajectory, and Lance Stroll, well, he had a few good moments. But as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. And for Aston Martin and Alonso, the descent was anything but smooth. A series of disappointing results saw them slide down the rankings, and Lance Stroll, their young prodigy, started facing struggles of his own. It all hit a new low in the qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix. Lance Stroll found himself in a dismal 17th position on the grid, marking his fourth consecutive failure to progress past Q1. But the real kicker was the performance gap between him and his teammate Fernando Alonse in the first segment. It had widened to a gaping 1.1 seconds. Now that's a chasm that could swallow a race car. This decline in form didn't happen overnight. Stroll's points accumulation was paltry, especially after the summer break. A mere 12 points were added to his name, and the frustration seemed to be bubbling over as the team's fourth-place position in the constructors' standings was under serious threat. But the real storm hit when an incident unfolded during the Qatar Grand Prix. Lance Stroll had a Friday that felt like the worst day of his entire season, which says a lot, considering his struggles with qualifying this year. After being wheeled back into the garage, the 24-year-old, obviously fuming about his 17th place in qualifying, threw his steering wheel in anger, like a man possessed by Formula One demons. And that wasn't the end of it. He seemed to ignore weighing protocols like a defiant teenager and even shoved his personal trainer, Henry Howe, in the back of the garage. Talk about drama, right? Lance, ignoring the required weighing protocol, left the car and headed to the media pen. An interviewer, sensing the storm brewing, asked, "Lance, we saw frustration from you on the TV screens. This obviously means so much to you. What are your emotions right now?" To which he responded with a concise, "Yeah, it's..." Oh boy, the tension was palpable. It's safe to say that his emotions were running hotter than an F1 engine in the middle of a desert race. But what does this outburst mean for his future in the sport? That's the big question, isn't it? Lance Stroll's performance in 2023 has left many fans and experts pondering his future in Formula One. At 24, he's been with Aston Martin since 2019, when his dad, Lance Stroll, acquired the team. Over 5 seasons with the team, Lance managed to gather 195 points. Yet this season, his 42-year-old teammate, Fernando Alonse, has eclipsed him, collecting an impressive 168 points from just 15 races. That's like watching the veteran come back and outshine the prodigy. Unfortunately, the decline wasn't just a fluke. Lance's weekend in Qatar was far from ideal. 16th in the sprint shootout, 15th in the sprint race, and although he managed to cross the finish line in 9th on Sunday, a track limit violation saw him demoted to 11th. That marked 5 race weekends in a row without any points. The calls for his removal from the team are getting louder, and, shockingly, even his own parents are trying to find an exit strategy to spare him from the embarrassment. But here's where it gets seriously interesting. Lance's situation is unique in the world of Formula One. Usually, a driver's poor performance leads to his exit at the end of the season, or perhaps even retirement from the sport. However, Lance's situation is unique because his dad, the billionaire Lance Stroll, owns the very team he's racing for. This means that as long as Lance owns the team, or as long as Lance wants to stay, his position as a driver is as safe as a bank vault. Lawrence has been a massive supporter of Lance's racing career, financing his karting days, and Lance had the distinction of being part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, an enormous deal for young talents. His rise through the racing ranks was impressive, but it's clear that his dad's wealth and connections played a significant role in the process. Lawrence's acquisition of Prema Racing was a turning point. In 2016, Lance dominated the competition and even got the opportunity to test Williams's 2014 car. That's the kind of opportunity that can make a young driver's career, and that's exactly what it did for Lance, propelling him into Formula One at the tender age of 18. Despite early struggles, he managed to shine in Azerbaijan. In 2018, as Williams faced its own challenges, Lance Stroll took over Force India, later renamed Racing Point, and now known as Aston Martin. In 2019, Lance found himself competing alongside Sebastian Vettel at the newly renamed Aston Martin team, and they were evenly matched on race days. It seemed like he had firmly established himself as a reliable midfield performer, and his future in Formula One was a topic that rarely came up. Fast forward to 2023, and the situation has taken a drastic turn. Ironically, Lance had performed relatively well at the start of the season, even while recovering from a hand injury. However, his performance hasn't improved, and his frustration has been palpable, not just during races, but also after them. For the incident in Qatar, Stroll finds himself under scrutiny from the FIA. However, the truth remains that unless the team itself decides to take action, no penalties or other punishments will be issued. Given the unique dynamics of the situation, it's highly unlikely that the team will take any action that could threaten Lance's position. So where does that leave us? What options are available for Lance Stroll? Well, here's where it gets intriguing. There are whispers, and some are growing louder, suggesting that he might opt for an alternative path. Lance's mother is reportedly putting pressure on her son to end his motorsport career this year, especially in light of several accidents and the poor performance in Formula One. However, it's not just a matter of walking away. The recent announcement of Aston Martin's entry into the World Endurance Championship and the IMSA Sports Car Championship adds a new layer of intrigue to the story. The company has plans to run at least one of its Valkyrie hypercars in both championships from 2025 onwards, a plan that was previously shelved. This sudden revival of the brand's endurance racing aspirations is being seen by many as a chance for Lance to transition into another category of motorsport, while allowing the Formula One team to continue with a more promising driver. Lance's racing skills are beyond doubt. Any driver who makes it to Formula One is undoubtedly one of the best racers in the world. Competing in the prestigious Le Mans is an honor in itself. Even his current teammate, an experienced driver, temporarily stepped out of Formula One to race in Le Mans, even winning it before returning to the world of F1. Lance's talent is certainly on par with, if not better than, some of the drivers who have transitioned successfully between Formula One and endurance racing. So, as we wrap up this captivating saga of Lance Stroll's career, the verdict is clear. The future is shrouded in uncertainty, but it's evident that this story is far from over. Will Lance Stroll continue in Formula One, or will he embrace a new challenge in endurance racing? The answer might lie not only in his talent, but also in the intricate dynamics of a team where his father is the boss. Whatever the future holds, one thing is certain. Lance Stroll's journey through the world of motorsport is a story like no other. It's filled with twists, turns, drama, and perhaps the promise of redemption. So, thank you for joining us on this gripping ride. Stay tuned for more thrilling stories from the world of motorsports, right here on our channel. And as always, keep the pedal to the metal and the rubber side down.